The alley stank of ozone, spilled coolant, and desperation. Jace waded back to the bricks, fingers lightly brushing the concealed pistol beneath his coat. His contact was late. Not unusual. Not a problem. Except tonight felt off. Too quiet. Not even the usual scuttling of maintenance drones. That's when the figure stepped from the shadows. Tall, featureless mask, green optic lenses glowing with surgical calm. Jace Varn, the figure said, voice clipped, metallic, and completely devoid of warmth. By authority of Galactic Revenue Enforcement subsection 9047B, you are hereby subject to full-spectrum audit. Jace blinked. Not because he was surprised someone knew his name, but because that particular subsection had supposedly been abolished with the collapse of Earth's representation in the Galactic Council. The figure continued, holding out a badge he hadn't seen in years. Black metal, silver trim, and one damning acronym, SRS, Space Interstellar Revenue Service. You're joking, Jace muttered, more to himself than the thing in front of him. I pay my taxes. The agent didn't blink. Incorrect. You manipulate financial instruments, launder relic-grade technology, and owe 67 outstanding infractions across 12 jurisdictions. Compliance is no longer voluntary. A flick of the agent's wrist projected a hologram of Jace's old records, half of which should have been scrubbed after the Harkonnen fire purge. The fact that they weren't told Jace everything he needed to know. This wasn't a routine enforcement. Someone had sent this thing after him. Still, he played along. So what? You gonna find me? Failure to comply results in liquidation. Jace considered his options. Drawing on the agent wouldn't work. These types came with layered shields, predictive counters, and probably backup 3 clicks away. So he smirked, stepped forward, and said, "Fine. Let's audit." The agent gestured down the alley. Begin with asset verification. You're carrying 12 kilograms of unregistered alloy. Declare origin. Salvaged. Provide registry number. Jace shrugged. Didn't come with a receipt. The agent raised a hand. A pulse of blue light scanned his torso. Falsehood detected. Alloy is Arcadium, banned in 7 systems. Source: Imperial Ruins. Penalty escalated. Value: 38,000 credit. Confiscated. Jace felt the weight lift from his jacket pocket as the agent's drone absorbed the core into a containment field. He gritted his teeth. This was no ordinary collector. This thing was digging for something deeper. He walked. The agent followed, silent, gliding like a wraith. As they passed flickering neon and rusted piping, Jace asked, "You always do audits in back alleys?" Location determined by target behavior. You've avoided official channels for 1,247 days. This is efficiency. Jace chuckled. You think I'm just a smuggler. You're a statistical anomaly. And a liability. They stopped outside a false wall. Jace pressed a sequence. The bricks shimmered, revealing a hidden storage unit. Inside, crates of forbidden tech, counter-intel devices, and relic. Jace stepped in first. The agent followed without hesitation. Cataloging assets, it said, voice flat. One by one, glowing blue beams scanned each item. Military-grade data shard. Stolen. Unregistered medtech. Contraband. Weaponized nanite capsule. War crime in 5 systems. Jace leaned on a crate. You know, most people ask before they accuse. You were warned. Compliance or erasure. Yeah? And who exactly sent you? The agent paused. For the first time, something flickered in its tone. Internal trigger. Pattern anomaly detected in council databases. Your footprint match deviation spikes. Jace's blood chilled. So this isn't about taxes. This is about balance. He laughed sharply. I knew it. You're not just cleaning up books. You're burying ghosts. The agent raised a hand. Silence. External breach detected. Without another word, the wall behind them exploded inward. Masked raiders, plasma rifles, no insignia. Jace dropped, rolled, drew. The agent didn't move at first, until the first shot. Then it blurred forward, arms a flurry of movement, metallic tendrils erupting from its back, disabling 2 men in seconds. Jace fired at the third. Missed. The agent stepped in, snapped the attacker's neck, then turned back to Jace. Hostiles neutralized. Audit resumed. You kill people during audits? Obstruction of process. He stared. You're not even surprised they came. Expected. Your data profile was broadcast 2 hours ago. This audit is now classified as high-risk containment. And you're still doing it? There are rules. They moved fast, relocating to an underground transit line. Jace punched in a code, an old escape route. Agent followed, scanning constantly. You're not just an enforcer, Jace said, finally. You're something else. The agent didn't deny it. I was built to stabilize financial anomalies. You are an anomaly. You mean dangerous? Yes. Statistically. Jace leaned back. You know who I was before all this? Earth Intelligence. Sector 7, Clearance Gold. Disavowed. Fugitive. Jace's smile faded. And yet you're still here. You hold data capable of destabilizing multiple financial sectors. That data is now evidence. It must be verified. Who says I still have it? You never let go of leverage. Jace didn't answer. He stared at the agent. No breathing. No emotion. Just cold, calculating bureaucracy weaponized by artificial efficiency. Why me? Because you survived. And because your records showed you were clever enough to hide from everything but us. They reached a checkpoint. The agent waved a hand. The guards froze mid-motion, then turned, nodded, and walked away. What was that? Classified clearance. Jace stared. You outrank border control? I outrank most. They entered a secure facility, his old fallback bunker. Inside, servers hummed. Hard copies. Old drives. Ghosts of 100 missions. The agent started scanning. Your involvement in the Eastern Rupture incident remains unverified. I wasn't there. Recordings suggest otherwise. Jace stepped forward. They're fake. I leaked the footage to mask the real op. The agent paused. Explain. Empire was laundering war debt through recovery funds. I cracked their system. Faked my death. You think I'm the problem? I'm the reason they didn't collapse 5 years ago. Unverified claim. Provide proof. Jace pointed at a crate. The agent opened it. Inside, crystal drives pulsing softly. Every misappropriated credit, every dead drop account, every lie. They buried Earth because we knew too much. The agent remained still. Then, this constitutes a level 3 fiscal weapon. No, Jace said. It's a fuse. A moment passed. Then the agent replied, You are now subject to full-spectrum field audit. All assets, actions, and intent are under review. Jace crossed his arms. So what happens if I fail? You won't exist. And if I pass? The agent paused. Then neither will they. Jace smirked. Then let's see what the IRS really does with a human anomaly. The bunker dimmed. Outside, alarms began to wail. Council trackers inbound, the agent said. They've activated Article 9. Didn't think they still use that. They don't. This is off books. Jace grabbed the data cores. Then we go dark. You are already classified as non-existent. Good, Jace said. Makes it easier to change the story. They didn't hear the quiet shuffle of armored boots behind them until the heavy hand tapped Tane on the shoulder. By the time he turned, 2 more agents had surrounded them, each with masks identical to Corinne's, expressionless, blank, and humming faintly with quiet energy. Tane instinctively stepped in front of Mara, who merely rolled her eyes and handed over the glowing ledger she'd been inspecting. The lead agent examined it, then nodded once. Cross-indexed. Good work. Corinne stepped forward, taking the device back. They're not lying. They were hiding debt, real debt, and weapon orders linked to smugglers flagged on 10 systems. The family name they use doesn't match the assets held. Tane said nothing. Mara crossed her arms. So, Corinne's voice dropped. So, this makes it a revenue shield violation. That's not just unpaid taxes. That's laundering funds for wartime intent. That makes it ours. A silence stretched. Even the shadows seemed to hold their breath. Finally, Mara nodded once. I know someone who can confirm the trail, she said. But it won't be easy to reach them. Corinne didn't blink. Name: Vero Tenkas, former Drek accountant. He disappeared last cycle. Corinne typed something into the glowing ledger. One of the other agents tilted their head. Already flagged. We have a trace. He's on a station in the Corrales dust ring. Running under a false religious license. Tane frowned. Wait. That's over 7 sectors out. Isn't that outside your jurisdiction? Corinne didn't answer directly. We don't respect borders where revenue violations cross them. They left that night. No permits, no calls for clearance. The space IRS ships were dark, fast, and built for silent entry. When they arrived at the edge of the Corrales dust ring, Tane saw firsthand why the agent ships were feared. They didn't fly so much as slide through space, engines ghosting between dimensions, barely making ripples even as they bypassed patrols. The station was ancient, rusted. It had once been a mining platform, now retooled into a faith sanctuary. From the outside, it looked like a hollow relic. Inside, they found lush tapestries and thick incense clouds masking encrypted signals. The entry was unopposed. That unnerved Tane more than any resistance. No guards. No challenge. The place welcomed them like a trap already sprung. Vero Tenkas was kneeling at a shrine, pretending devotion. Corinne stopped 5 feet from him. You rerouted nearly 2 billion credits through Shell Faith. You sold exemptions to people on embargo lists. Do you want to talk, or do you want us to pull your accounts from the Galnet and delete your name mid-prayer? The man didn't move. They'll kill me. Mara stepped forward. We're not here to save you. Just point us to the ones buying the silence. Vero exhaled. There's a name. A human. Jarek Fall. Corinne's tone darkened. We know. We've seen traces. But traces aren't evidence. Vero finally looked up. Then you'll need to follow the audit trail. That phrase triggered something in the ledger. Corinne's device blinked red, then blue. It's real, he said. Locked behind a certified transdimensional routing key. Someone went to serious lengths to bury this. The audit trail was set up by Fall himself, Vero said. It's self-erasing, but your badge should let you ghost it once. Mara glanced at Corinne. You knew he existed. Yes. But until now we couldn't touch him. He's buried under corporate protections, noble investments, and planetary defense donations. Every time we approached, someone higher up blocked the warrant. Even the IRS has limits? Tane asked. No, Corinne said, eyes glowing faintly under the mask. But we have protocols. And he's the one who taught the rich how to bury their skeletons under 7 layers of charity. The moment the audit trail activated, the atmosphere changed. The ledger vibrated. Corinne's stance shifted. He built a network to bleed galactic revenue from the inside, he said. His shell accounts are live across 17 systems. And now we have a signature. What now? Mara asked. Now we follow the money. They chased it. One by one, the false donations unraveled. Not just tax dodges. Actual theft from medical reliefs, refugee programs, planetary reconstructions. Billions stolen under the guise of philanthropy. The further they dug, the more powerful names emerged: ambassadors, tech magnates, military suppliers. Each exposure triggered collapses. Silent ones. One night a governor's office would go dark. The next day a weapons contract would vanish. The space IRS didn't make public arrests. They just erased protections. But the deeper they went, the more dangerous the trail became. Not all systems respected the space IRS's reach. In some, they were marked as spies. In one system, a destroyer fired on them. That ship was never seen again. The audit finally led them to a remote world that didn't exist on public charts. It was built like a tax haven, a digital ghost with no name orbiting a dead star. There were no cities, just encrypted nodes housing financial AI clusters. The center of the network. The black heart of Fall's empire. "We go in," Corinne said. Mara held back. "He'll expect us." Corinne didn't disagree. "That's why we wear the mask." The world was silent. No resistance. But the moment they stepped into the central node, the system came alive. Fall's face appeared, holographic, synthetic. "I knew you'd come," he said. "I told them you would. That's why I built this." Corinne didn't respond. He uploaded the audit key. The world shook. "I spent decades perfecting this," Fall went on. "You think some clerk with a glowing tablet can undo me?" "You're already undone," Corinne said. Data began spilling. Encrypted caches unlocking, traced funds returning to blocked accounts, flagged operations collapsing in real time. Fall snarled. "You don't understand. I built immunity. I bought empires." "And you filed zero returns," Mara said. The system fought back. AI defense routines activated, trying to relock files, scrub logs, disable the audit. But it was too late. The moment the ledger touched the core, it rewrote the control schema. Fall's face flickered. "You're killing me." "No," Corinne said. "Just your protection." Tane watched as billions of credits reversed course. Names vanished from sealed titles. Military programs ceased. Philanthropic fronts collapsed. Fall's final scream cut off mid-sentence. Then the world went dark. They left in silence. No celebration. Just another job. Corinne handed Mara the backup key, silently acknowledging her role. "What happens now?" Tane asked. "We don't stop," Corinne said. "There's always another name." "And what about Fall?" "He'll be recorded as a failed audit." Back on the main station, word spread quietly. Systems once considered untouchable were now under audit. Planetary lords started filing returns. Corporations began donating real aid for fear of scrutiny. Mara looked at the stars, then at Corinne. "You still haven't told us who funds you." Corinne turned away. "Everyone. Eventually." She didn't press. But Tane noticed something in Corinne's walk. A slight limp. An old injury. Maybe not everything about the mask was unreadable. The space IRS didn't gloat. They didn't threaten. They just appeared, audited, and vanished. But across the galaxy, a whisper had begun. A new warning. Don't cheat the ledgers. Don't fake the charity. No one in the Galactic Empire had expected the space IRS to become a warfront. Least of all Commissioner Drex, who now found himself staring at a blockade of Terran freighters retrofitted into artillery stations, each one transmitting encrypted signals in a frequency only human auditors could understand. The humans had not responded with fear, negotiation, or retreat. They responded with Form A12 variants, advanced field audits delivered via railgun. Drex activated his diplomatic override. The channel cracked open. On the other side, a calm, calculated human voice answered, "You have accessed restricted tax jurisdiction territory Alpha. State your clearance code and intention." "I am Commissioner Drex of the Galactic Revenue Enforcement Division. You are violating 32 interstellar compliance ordinances," he barked. "No, sir. We are invoking Human Interstellar Tax Defense Clause 9b. We are not resisting taxation. We are auditing you." That last word echoed through the channel like a death knell. Auditing a galactic commissioner was unheard of. It was practically treason. But the humans had no reverence for hierarchy. They only followed rules, and their rules ran deeper, older, meaner. Drex's ship shuddered as a pulse of ion disruption licked across his shields. No warning, no declaration. Just a financial ping delivered at the speed of violence. The humans weren't merely defending their alley anymore. They were reshaping the battlefield. Deep within Earth's former slum districts, now known across the stars as the Alley, their operations pulsed like a second heartbeat. Every corridor, every decrepit tower, every shattered neon sign hid a transaction record, a compliance trap, or a human whose stare said, "Audit me, I dare you." General Vorgan of the Galactic Military, the last to attempt an incursion into the Alley, had once famously said, "I'd rather fight a swarm of Taltharuk war priests than get a letter from a human tax enforcer." He had not survived his audit. What made humans dangerous wasn't just their tech or their tactic. It was their absolute dedication to bureaucratic precision. Every line item was a weapon, every deduction a blade. Their accounting wasn't a system, it was a doctrine. It was war by spreadsheet. And now, the doctrine had moved beyond Earth. Drex deployed enforcement units D-Zeta through L'. Advanced drones designed to conduct full seizure operations across hostile economies. The drones entered Terran space and vanished. No signal, no data trail. Just silence. Later, Drex would learn that the humans had uploaded reverse audits into the drone's firmware, causing them to self-assess and self-terminate. On the ground, Captain Elira of the Terran Audit Corps stepped over the smoldering remains of the last incursion team. She carried no weapon, wore no armor. Just a tattered coat filled with forms, seals, and quantum pens. Her team was composed of 25 specialists trained in forensic taxation, interspecies loophole detection, and compliance warfare. They called her the Interest Reaper. Her motto, "You may hide your money, but you can't unfile your sins." Elira's target wasn't enforcement units or combat drones. It was culture. She audited alien beliefs, traditions, inheritance rituals, any economic system that underpinned the galactic elite's power. Her method was simple. Expose financial hypocrisy, force disclosure, then claim reparations at interest rates designed to bankrupt empires. In the empire's core, noble families trembled. Their vaults were ancient, their ledgers handwritten in blood and cyberscript. Yet even those secrets couldn't withstand a Terran forensic dive. One by one, interstellar aristocrats were reduced to refugees. Their mansions repossessed. Their lineage taxed into oblivion. Back on the front line, Drex was unraveling. He issued a code-red emergency. Not for war. For compliance collapse. Whole sectors were declaring autonomy under Terran fiscal protection. The space IRS had become a liberation movement. But it was worse than that. A coded message intercepted from deep within human channels revealed something beyond enforcement. Operation Ledgerfall. It wasn't just Earth. It wasn't just the Alley. The humans had embedded audit teams across thousands of galactic systems under sleeper identities. These operatives weren't soldiers. They were debt engineers, paper assassins, accountants with vendettas and calculators sharper than any sword. One such operative, codenamed Balance, surfaced on the capital world of Virelius Prime. In 6 hours, she collapsed the planetary treasury by invoking forgotten trade agreements, invoking penalties that dated back to when the planet's oceans still boiled. The population didn't riot. They filled out refund claims, guided by human agents. As Drex fled system after system, he watched his empire unravel. Not with explosions, but with fines, liens, and backdated wage violations. He begged for war. But war wasn't coming. Only audits. Elira's final message to the Galactic Council was short. "We didn't start this rebellion. You did, the moment you tried to tax us without understanding what we'd become. You taxed our families, our survivors, our dust. You forgot what happens when you weaponize numbers. Now you'll remember." And then silence. Across the galaxy, spaceports stopped. Fleets powered down. Worlds paused. Not from fear. From being placed under comprehensive review. Even mercenary guilds, pirate lords, and ancient AI conglomerates halted operations. Their escape routes were blocked by tax agents holding ink-stamped subpoenas and high-frequency ledgers. No one escaped. Everyone owed. Drex was the last. He sat alone on a drifting ship over a dead trade lane, surrounded by the ghosts of his deleted accounts and shattered prestige. Then, a small human vessel docked. No weapons visible. Just one woman. Elira. She stepped aboard and sat across from him. "I'm not here to hurt you, Drex," she said. "I'm here to offer you a payment plan." He didn't speak. She opened her ledger. The screen glowed. She tapped the final entry. "You owe everything." And as she handed him the stylus, he knew this wasn't defeat. It was closure. Because in the end, the humans didn't conquer the galaxy. They audited it into submission,